Hey everybody, this is Rebel Builder and I'm back with another MOC. This time I have Tallie Lintra's RZ-2 A-Wing starfighter from The Last Jedi. This ship was featured in the very beginning of the movie, the whole bomber sequence. Now this one proved to be a challenge because of the shape. You compare the RZ-2 to the RZ-1 that we're familiar with from The Return of the Jedi. At first glance you would think that this is just a new paint job on an old starfighter, but they actually made some changes to this and I really tried to capture those with this MOC. Mainly the changes are they made the new RZ-2 longer and flatter. It's a lot more sleek looking than the older version, so I really tried to capture that, and it proved to be kind of a challenge. But if you compare this to some of the other A-Wing sets that we've had in the past, I ended up with something that looks a lot closer to those sets than I originally intended. I experimented with a lot of different techniques here, with this wedge plate and making this whole section long and flat. And I even tried to build kind of sideways and using some slopes out here, but I couldn't get the right geometry, and it was very important for me to capture the kind of the look of these wings out here. This is more pronounced than what we're used to on the A-Wing, and so the challenge here that I ran into is this notch here. I would have preferred this to go all the way back here, but when you're building with Lego, you're just kind of limited to those Lego geometries. You can see this transition here. I went from the wedge in the slope here to the curved slopes. Again, that's kind of a look that we've seen on the A-Wing Lego sets, and really that technique served this one pretty well. You can see I have the 2x4 round slopes there and just kind of made this transition. I wish I could make that a little smoother, but you can only do so much sometimes with Lego. The cannons here on the side were a lot of fun to design. Again, it ended up being similar to a Lego set, but I got this little splash of orange in here. But one thing I didn't want to happen was for these to pivot. So, I don't like on the sets how those things always get banged out of place and ended up being crooked or something. So I doubled up the connection there to make it nice and sturdy. Another thing to talk about would be color. I built this in light bluish gray and dark blue. I think like the X-Wing or some other Star Wars ships, there could be the argument made that this should be regular blue and white. And I would say, as the RZ-2s came off the production line, yeah, maybe they were that color. I like the worn-in, the used look of the Star Wars universe, where nothing's clean, except for maybe in the early days of the Millennium Falcon, as we're about to find out. But I like the look of the gray. And so when you take the gray and then compare it to the blue, I thought the dark blue would just kind of serve it a little better. I know the Resistance bomber is probably the same colors, and the Lego set came in regular blue and light gray, but I experimented and really like the look of this, and I think it serves it pretty well. Now back here is the engines and the wing pieces. We can talk about this whole section here. So to me, the RZ-2 is kind of a plain build. There's not a lot of detail that you can cram into this sleek little smooth triangular starfighter. So I thought it needed some stickers. Usually I'm against stickers, but just sometimes, like especially these A-Wings, they're kind of needed just to spruce it up a little bit. So there's some prominent red lines on the RZ-2 in the movie, so I have a couple of red stickers here. Now these are leftovers from a First Order TIE fighter. Now for the wings here, you can see I got stuff on the top and the bottom, and it doesn't match exactly, but what I did is I found some dark blue, I think it's some sort of cloth tape, and I was able to get a hold of that and just got creative with my X-Acto knife and just put a couple of strips up here. The whole top fin should be dark blue, and then down below I tried to put some detail in here, so it's just a strip and then 3 little strips there. To me, when I did this, it kind of really added that extra pop that I think the MOC needed. Also, you can see some detail here. I have some dark bluish gray grills, and I like kind of what I did here with this little piece here. So in universe, this gray would be a ring and it would connect to the top and bottom of these wings here. So what I did is I just have a wheel and another wheel here, and they're connected through the middle with just a 1x4 bar. And you can also see for the engines, I used this transparent dark pink. I like the look of that color, you know, especially on the X-Wings. I think it's just something that really pops. You know, I think A-Wings typically have been yellow in the past, but, you know, just wanted to use this color. I think it looks pretty cool. And for this engine back here, you know, I borrowed a lot of that technique, again, from the A-Wing sets that we've seen in the past. And here's a low shot of the ship. This is kind of that first view that we see in The Last Jedi. So you can see in the cockpit, I do have the Tallie Lintra minifigure in there. So we can look at the cockpit next, and you can see the back of the cockpit is flat in the back. One very distinct feature from the RZ-1, it doesn't have the slope in the back. And here's a look at the inside of the cockpit. You can see Tallie in there. I'm not really known for elaborate cockpit designs, but I do have one of these tiles with the controls on it. And you can see the cockpit piece here does just pivot with these hinges here, like the other A-Wing sets. And here is a shot of the bottom of the ship. Now you can see that I have quite a bit of plates going on here. And really with this build, I tried not to build, you know, with plates and then just building straight up, but I kind of went from the wedges down actually this time, and still ended up using quite a bit of wedges here underneath for support and the shape and stuff. You can see I have these curved wedges here, again similar to the sets, and I do have a landing gear here that does tuck in. Again, a similar design to what we saw, but because I use these wedges here, kind of like my TIE Fighter designs actually, I didn't have room to put 2 more landing gears in the back, so I just used some inverted wedges there, kind of like they use on the X-Wing sets. When I decide to build a MOC like this, I go through a research phase where I collect a bunch of images, keep them on a folder in my computer, and I also have the cross-sections book, so I really study these things, and comparing this one to the RZ-1 really gave me a better appreciation of this fighter. I really like how it looks in the movie, so I'm glad they included it. But I think this MOC turned out pretty well, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. So leave me a comment down below. Let's have a discussion about this one. And I'd appreciate a thumbs up on this video. That always helps. And of course, if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'm getting back at things. I'm going to have some new builds coming pretty soon. You don't want to miss out on those. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back soon.